Welcome to the Fit Dad Nation podcast, forging strong fathers and raising a stronger generation. It's time to get up, man up, or shut up with your host, Steve Roy.
Hey guys, this is Steve Roy, the host of the Fit Dad Nation podcast. Welcome to the show and thanks for listening. Before I introduce today's guest, I just want to take a quick moment to invite all you dads who are listening right now. And if you're ready to start taking action on becoming better fathers and better men, to join our brotherhood. And the best way to do that is to head over to Facebook and apply to our private group, which is the Fit Dad Base Camp, which is facebook.com/groups/Fit Dad Base Camp. So I want to introduce my guest today. His name is Jeff Koetell. Now, I came across Jeff through a member of our community. And he said, you got to check this guy's story out. He's under the incredible shrinking bearded man. I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. So I ended up checking out his Facebook page, watching some of his YouTube videos, and I was just kind of blown away at the transformation in his fitness journey. So I got in touch with him, asked him if he'd be willing to be on the show, and he agreed. So he's here with us today, and I'm really excited to talk to him. So Jeff, welcome to the show, and thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. So you might have quite a few things to ask you, but your journey has been fascinating. So, for those listening, just maybe briefly tell us, before we get into your background, what is your story? What is all this incredible shrinking bearded man about?
It's taken very, very many, ups and downs over the years. I started the page about 5 years ago as kind of like a way to hold myself accountable as well as, help other people out, if that makes any sense at all.
Of course. Sure.
I was probably about 300 pounds about the time I started that. I think it was about in 2013, which I had been over 500 pounds at one time, which was insane. So it's definitely grown. I think I got over 1,400 followers now. A lot of people seem to be very supportive and everything. It's definitely been a journey.
Yeah. So what prompted you? So how many years ago were you 500 pounds?
That I would have been about 20. It was a couple years right after high school, and I just actually hit 40 yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday.
So yeah. The last 5 years have changed my life pretty much. I don't even know how to even describe it. My brain and my body were a mess at that time. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah. So tell me about your childhood. So I'm assuming you were overweight most of your life if you were 500 pounds by the time you were, just out of high school. So what was it like growing up? Like your parents, were they unhealthy? Were you just, unhealthy environment? Like I'm just fascinated by how you got to be, 500 pounds.
Well, I'm the youngest of four boys that my mom had, and my mom and my dad got divorced by the time I was about 4. My dad was never really that heavy of a guy. My mom got pretty heavy after their divorce, and she actually married a alcoholic, a verbally abusive alcoholic. So that was probably the start of my way of coping with that was my eating and everything. And they didn't know anything about nutrition or anything about healthy eating at all, but they always told me I needed to lose weight. And a lot of people in my family would crack the jokes, but then hand me the crappy food,
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah. The only thing I ever knew about nutrition was pretty much growing up was watching, TV and reading my mom's Richard Simmons book. Yeah, I think this was a long time ago. Internet wasn't around, of course. And I think it wasn't until really the internet came around where, I was actually able to finally start doing my own nutritional research and everything. But my stepdad did most of the cooking growing up. It was mostly fried meats battered in white flour and some kind of greasy ass potato or, with just like a can of veggies for all of us,
Mm-hmm. Sure.
It was pretty bad. And I was probably about 7 years old when the weight really started coming on, and how actually my current weight of about 225, I hadn't been this weight since probably I was 13 years old, probably.
Wow. So, as well as I do that a lot of kids, there's a pretty high percentage of kids in the U.S. anyway are overweight or obese. But typically what you see in overweight kids is, they're a little chubby, they're carrying some extra weight, But to get to 500 pounds, was there anything else going on? Because to get that heavy, it seems like that's just not a normal path of just when you're eating shitty foods. You get overweight, sure, but you don't become 500 pounds. So was there something else that was happening that kind of got you there? Or was it just strictly just a ton of just bad eating and way, way too much? Is that kind of where it was at?
I call it the downward spiral, actually, because like shitty eating, makes you feel guilty when you're eating like that. You shouldn't be eating like that, but you're just so out of control because of all the foods that you're eating are so addictive mostly. So then you overeat after that because you're just like, well, screw it. I've already ruined all this. I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to do what I want. And I think for me, a big part of it was actually, it was kind of like a form of like slow suicide because I didn't have the courage or the balls to take care of it myself. You know what I mean? I did not I hated life so much that it just didn't matter to me,
Wow. It just kind of snowballed down. I mean, were there other emotional issues? Because I know one of your videos, you talked about a food addiction, which I want to ask you about in a minute, but this was a long time ago. But I mean, what kind of things were going through your head? I mean, school, middle school, high school, those are brutal years. And if you're overweight, and back then when you and I were growing up, there wasn't, you couldn't run to the counselor and say, I'm being bullied. You just sucked it up. I was bullied. I never told a soul. That's kind of what it was back then. But do you remember the kind of thoughts and emotions you had as you went through those years?
Oh, yeah. I was pretty much a hermit. I went to school and I pretty much had my head looking down at the floor the whole time. I talked to the stoner kids. They were always cool to me,
Yeah.
Yeah, they were nice. The jocks, of course, picked on me. But I had older brothers, so everybody knew of them a lot. A lot of them either knew my brothers or their brothers knew my brothers. So I think they took it easy on me. I think for the most part, it could have been a lot worse, but you hate yourself as is when you're going to school, and then you got the cute girl that you're wanting to get with, and then they don't want you because they're you're too big. So then that just kind of well, screw it. If no women are if none of the girls are going to want me, then I might as well just do what the heck I want, and
mm-hmm.
like I didn't even lose my virginity till I was 20, mm-hmm. because I probably made up for it over the years. Made up for lost times and
Sure. Yeah. I shared that story on one of my recent shows too. I was on the opposite end of the spectrum. I was bullied and picked on, but I was super tiny. I was like this scrawny little twerp. I didn't hit puberty till I was out of high school. I didn't date. I didn't kiss a girl until I was out of high school. Nothing. So I had a really crappy experience, just for different reasons. But yeah, I was bullied by the bigger, tough kids. And, I think when I finished high school, I was like 5'6", 120 pounds. So I had the body of like a 12-year-old girl, basically. So
oh, wow.
My schooling wasn't wonderful either.
Well, I look at it like I always compare it to like if you kick a dog every day, that dog's going to carry that fear of getting kicked every day afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
And even, even if it's, being taken care of by, like a new owner, it's still going to be fearful of getting kicked, and I don't think that ever really goes away. Like there's so many days where I still have like that 500-pound mentality, even though I'm like 220, 230 pounds now, you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's hard to get out of it. Like, I don't know, like I don't even have the answer for that one because
Sure.
If you have the answer to get rid of that mentality once in a while, then I would love to know because
yeah, that's a deep conversation for sure.
Yeah.
So between the time you were 20-ish and 500 pounds and the time you started your YouTube channel, which was 5 years ago, you said you were 300 pounds. So there's a couple hundred pounds in there. How did you end up losing those 200 pounds over the course of 20-ish years?
Well, I actually remember it pretty well. It was about 2001, I think it was, where I just there was actually my high school female friend that I just adored completely. She had turned me down so many times. I'm like, you know what? I'm actually going to do something about my weight because I mean, originally it was more more for physical reasons than it was for health.
Mm-hmm.
And I just portion controlled the first 100 pounds, just stop eating so much. I mean, that, like, I recall before I started doing that, like, there was times where I went to like McDonald's and got like a double quarter pounder, large meal, and like eat it in the parking lot, and then go to like, Burger King, and then, eat like a double Whopper meal, and then go to the parking lot, like eat it in the parking lot, and then go home, and then eat more food. I mean, it was just insane. Like, I knew it wasn't right, but, just cutting down my portions and helped that out, like a lot. But when you're that heavy, I mean, you could probably still eat 4,000 or 5,000 calories and still probably lose weight. It's just a slow progression because you're just carrying around so much. It wasn't until I got down to about 400 pounds, I'm like, you know what, like, life's not too bad if you actually take care of your body a little bit, So this would have been probably about 4 or 5 years after that. I got a hold of the Sugar Busters book. Are you familiar with that one at all?
Yep. Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, it was more like watching the bad carbs and, just eating more natural kind of foods. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That seemed to work pretty well then. And then around that time, I decided to try to go vegetarian for a while because meat was starting to disgust me a little bit. And I ended up getting down to about 300 pounds doing that. So, but I was still eating dairy and eggs and stuff like that. But I was, I cut the flesh out anyways, and that's when I met my ex-wife, was about that time when I got down to about 300.
Okay. And you have one daughter?
Yes.
Okay. How old is she?
She will be 10 in November, actually.
Okay. So was that like a main motivator for you once you had a child? You're like, you know what? I can't drop dead of a heart attack at 45 because I'm so overweight and I have a little kid now. And
well, I was doing pretty good with that until I was the one that asked for the divorce, because I'm not going to get into too much detail, but it wasn't working out well. She was kind of controlling and everything, and I kind of felt like I was getting back into the situation with that I had with my stepdad, at the time. So I tried working on things for like about a year, and it just wasn't working out. So I told her that I decided to call it quits and everything. And then going from seeing my daughter every day to like every other weekend and 4 hours through the week was pretty much, it got me back up to about 400 pounds by 2011. She would have been about 3 at the time.
Okay.
It was a rough spot for me. And I remember being out to park with her and just struggling like crazy to keep up with her and getting all huffing and puffing. And she asked me, "What's wrong, Dad?" or something like that. And that was when I was just like, all right, I need to do something, because I'm going to end up in an early grave if I don't, And plus, too, my dad had a double bypass by age 53, and that scared the hell out of me too.
Yeah.
So, especially around that time, I was creeping on like the mid 30s, and I'm like, yeah, and my dad wasn't even that overweight of a guy. He liked his 2 packs of cigarettes a day. And he liked his fried meats. I was actually smoking like a carton a week at the time too. So, I actually just about 5 weeks ago, I was vaping for the last 2 years, and I just now finally about 5 weeks ago gave up nicotine for good. So
how's that going?
It's going really good, actually. I had a little bit of a spot where I was kind of overeating just a hair, but which I was prepared for.
Mm-hmm.
Now that the nicotine's out of my body, the
cravings.
Yeah, the cravings are evened out now and everything, so that's been good.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said about being away from your daughter for the first time. That's exactly what happened to me, and I was separated in 2012, so 2013 was the first year I was away from my girls. I had them every weekend, but I was a very on-hand dad, so not seeing them Monday through Friday was killing me, and I turned to food. I've never been much of a drinker, but I was exactly what you said. I would go to McDonald's, was my favorite, but I would get like a Big Mac meal and a chocolate shake and an apple pie, and I just eat it in my car in like 5 minutes. And I just did that month after month, and I didn't get overweight, but I just felt like a sack of shit, and my energy was horrible, and I just got soft and flabby and felt awful, and it did take a wake up call for me too. So I definitely know that mentality. So I was listening to one of your videos, I think it was from 2013, when you said you started out with a paleo diet, which I've had a lot of success with, but you ended up not being able to afford it, so you quit. And it sounds like, your first response was just to kind of say, fuck it, and you went back to eating, whatever you wanted. Is that how that played out?
Well, I got kind of obsessed with trying to find like grass-fed meats and stuff like that, and it was actually kind of a stressful diet for me, because. And it was expensive to a point too. I mean, like the principles of it made a lot of sense to me at the time, but it was really hard for me to sustain as far as like an everyday life kind of thing, which, I mean, everybody does something different. And I like on my page, I preach what I'm currently doing right now, but I try to stress that, do whatever works for you and whatever helps your health out, you know what I mean? Like if your numbers and your baseline numbers are really good, then I would say go for it. But as you know now, probably about a year and a half ago, I adopted a whole food plant-based diet. It's been like the easiest, most sustainable thing I've ever done, as far as like I don't have to track anything, I don't have to count anything, I don't have to weigh out anything. Although I am just now starting to, because I've been stuck at this weight for probably about a good like 3-4 months now. So I'm actually going to start like counting calories a little more and try to like, limit my portions a little more. But yeah, like I watched the Forks Over Knives movie in it was like November of 2016. I don't know if you're familiar with that movie. Have you watched it?
I haven't watched it. I actually saw it the other day on, I think it was Netflix or Amazon Prime, one or the other. But I came across it and I said, and I ended up not watching it. But yeah, it's something I do want to see.
It's a game changer, man. I'm telling you. See, I can like my diet pretty much consists now of I eat as many beans, rice, potatoes, oatmeal, veggies, and fruit as I want. And you don't have to count anything. I do not add any more oil or sugar or salt to my food anymore. It's actually I'm becoming a little bit of a pseudo cook now, actually, which is the first time, because I've always hated cooking. I've always looked for the quick and easy, access to food and everything. But it's very easy stuff to cook, and it's healthy and hearty. I actually just got my my cholesterol checked not too long ago, and lo and behold, I can't find my paper right now.
But it's good. It's a good number.
Yeah. My overall cholesterol is like 128, I think.
Good for you.
And my blood pressure right now is like usually running about 114 over like 63. And my fasting blood sugars are like 82. Like all my baseline stuff is like absolutely perfect. And like there's like my stamina is like through the roof. And if you actually Google it, the whole food plant-based diet is actually very, very good for erectile dysfunction too. If you have any, you don't even know that you kind of have it until you kind of switch over and get the meat out of your diet. There's a lot of like science behind it, which I can't really roll it off the top. I mean, like I'll be sitting here, saying for about 5 minutes trying to come up with the words. But if you actually look it up, though, I mean, it's crazy. Like I feel like a teenager again in that department. It's that right there is enough. What do you call it? Motivation to keep up with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Your sex life will never be better. From when you make the switch, especially at this age. And I don't know if you like. Do you take like a testosterone supplement now that you're older?
No. Nope, never tried it. Never messed with it.
How old are you?
46. I was tested a couple years ago, and it was in the normal range. I just focus on, just lifestyle stuff instead, basically trying to reduce my stress, getting plenty of sleep. And then I train hard and heavy, which helps. But I don't supplement really with anything else other than just, I eat kind of like a paleo-ish diet. Mm-hmm. So that's what I focus on. But yeah, I mean, no problems that I've noticed anyway.
Yeah, I read somewhere where they said that like your peak production's like 28 years old or something like that for the testosterone. So I just take like a 50 milligram DHEA supplement just to kind of keep it in my body. And I've actually noticed a big difference. Like whenever I don't take it for a few months, like my zest for life is kind of lowered. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of like more blasé. But when I actually take it, I don't do it for like the weightlifting or anything like that, which actually I don't really even hit the gym. I work 10 hours at a door factory every night and I got like a 45-minute commute back and forth. So, yeah, my day is pretty much about a 13-hour work day by the time I'm driving back and forth and the half-hour lunch and everything. So, I would like to do the gym, but it's just one of those things where, I know it sounds like an excuse a little bit. I just don't have the time, but we're, lugging around 300-pound doors on conveyor belts and everything. So it's not like I'm not active or physical at all.
Sure. Did you ever go to the gym?
I have back and forth. See, the thing is though, is like I have pretty extreme loose skin because of, losing 280 pounds. And every time I go to the gym, it's like I can't see the results from like the weightlifting and everything. And like I said before, I know it sounds like an excuse to a point, but it's like it's very discouraging when you put in all that effort, you bust your ass at the gym to try to get the gains, and to try to like make my body look better anyways, which I know like the gym helps out with like strength and everything else, but it's just, until I get this skin removal surgery, which is not, like nothing anytime soon, probably not going to happen. However, I do a lot of disc golfing around this time of year. I don't know if you're familiar with that at all.
Yep, sure.
Which is like, like each round you play is about a 3-mile hike almost. You're going up and down hills and everything. And I'm actually planning on starting to do some yoga at home because, just for like mobility and everything else like that. So the physical stuff, I'm going to start beefing up a little bit. Like, I think I'm in pretty good shape. I'm just not like, fit like a lot of these other people like you.
That's all right. Hey, you've come in an extremely long way, so you've got a lot to be proud of. So let me ask you a couple things. When did you actually make the switch from, eating at least some meat to going straight up vegan, nothing processed, like clean all the way through? How long ago was that?
I've done like no cheats for the last 2 months. And I haven't noticed the because like for the while there, well, like I was about almost 300 when I made the switch in 2016. It was December of 2016. I told myself after watching that Forks Over Knives movie, is like, like I'm gonna try this out for a month in December, and I went 100. I went 100%, and I actually lost like I think it was like 30 pounds that first month. Like it was just nothing but bloat in my system and everything. Mm-hmm. And then as I gradually, the longer I got, like I stuck with it. It was more like a work week thing where I was really good through the work week, and then like on the weekends I kind of had some cheats, and then I had food hangovers after that. So then I had to go back and pretty much do hardcore. Which I think I forgot to mention this too, but I actually do intermittent fasting about 5 days a week as well. Are you familiar with that? Do you do that often? Or?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about that because I interviewed Brad Pilon not too long ago, who wrote Eat, Stop, Eat, which is kind of one of the Bibles on intermittent fasting. And we're actually doing a 14-day intermittent fasting challenge in my Apex Alliance group. So yeah, I'm familiar with it. I like it. And so far, we're only 3 days into the challenge, but the guys in the group are already noticing a difference in a number of things. So how often are you typically fasting?
I actually do like a 21, 22 to like 2 to 3 hour window of eating. It's pretty brutal, actually.
Oh yeah, that is rough.
Yeah. Like I get home about 3 a.m. from work, and I'll eat until about 5 or 6 in the morning. It all depends. I do like this really huge potato and bean bowl, which I actually just posted on my Facebook page the other day. 6 potatoes. It's like 3 reds and 3 golds usually. A can of like no salt added beans. And I throw in a bunch of greens in there and like a steamer bag of veggies and like all sorts of spices, like no salt added whatsoever. It's actually like 1,400 calories, and it's like 4 pounds of food.
Yeah, I saw the bowl. I saw the video. It was a huge bowl.
It is awesome though. And actually it gives me about damn near 100% of my nutrition that I need according to MyFitnessPal, and just in that bowl alone. And then I'll snack on like some pistachios or maybe some oatmeal afterwards. I mean, it's probably about, I'd say about 5 pounds of food going in my belly at night. But I sleep like a baby after that though.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll just water fast until I get off work the next night. And then on the weekends, I kind of just, it's it's a free for all as far as, doing that. And I'll also do, about every other month, I'll do, like a 3-day water fast usually, which kind of like, it's like a reset for my taste buds and for, because I'm a firm believer that our digestive system needs a chance to heal and repair itself. And if you're constantly eating all the time, you're never going to clean house. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I've been doing the intermittent fasting for over 2 years now, and I don't ever see myself going back to my old ways of my old schedule of eating, just because the food addiction you were talking about. I'm a big food addict, and it's like on the weekends when I eat, like I just eat till I'm like absolutely just completely stuffed. And I don't know why I do it. It's just how it goes. It's like once I eat, like I'm just like, I just want more and more and more. I don't know why. I wish I knew why my body does it. I don't know if maybe I like permanently stretched out my stomach over the years from eating so much food or something like that. Yeah, like usually I'll pass out after eating after work, and then by the time I wake up, my belly's a little hungry, but I went through the hard stage of trying to fight the hunger cravings, and then I'll just not do that after I just won't eat till after work after that. And it usually works out really well.
Yeah, it's funny how it's largely emotional. Those triggers that you have that you think you're hungry, but you're really not physically hungry. Your brain is telling you, I need some food, I need some sugar, I need a certain something. Like for me, it's energy drinks. And if I don't have it, I start getting a little nuts. But with this fasting, and I just don't allow myself to have it, that subsides quickly when I realize, okay, I'm not having it, period. And then I realized, hey, this is more emotional than physical. And it's a pretty eye-opening experience. And like you said, if it's working, for you, whatever diet it is, whether it's a plant-based vegan diet, I personally love meat, but it doesn't matter as long as it's healthy and it's getting results and it's sustainable. There's no, right or wrong diet. It's really up to the person to incorporate that into their life. And if it works, go with it.
Yeah, I've always, and actually I say this a lot on my page, that back before I started doing this whole food plant-based thing is, I kind of like to be a human guinea pig to a point, as far as like trying out diets. I would highly suggest anybody to watch the Forks Over Knives on Netflix and just give it a 30-day trial just to try it. I mean, that's what I did. I'm like, all right, I'm just, because I don't think you can really, get the full benefits after like a week. I mean, I think with anything, you have to do it at least 30 days in order to get the optimal results from it or whatever. And I've actually, a few people around me have actually made the switch, and they say they've never felt better. And for me now, though, it's not like anymore. It's not about weight loss. For me, it's all about health now. And my daughter, she's actually all the time asking me, is this food healthy? Is this food healthy? And she's actually, she's like on her like 5th year of dance now, and she's actually just getting skinny as can be. And she's in like the best shape of her life because, she's in acro and in tap and ballet and everything. And she's actually stayed like the same weight for like the last 2 years, but she's probably sprouted up like a foot at least, I try to preach to her about nutrition and about, healthy eating and the healthy lifestyle. And it's, I like, my main goal for me is to help her not ever follow into those same footsteps that I was in. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's terrifying to think about her going through what I did. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like no kid, like eventually I would love to actually, I mean, I know this is kind of daydreaming to a point, but like, it'd be nice to actually one day, quit the factory work and actually do this for a living. And to actually start up a program for kids to actually, that actually educates them, because obviously the standard American diet that's going on right now is not working for America or the world. And I mean, they're talking about how there's already like hardening of the arteries in like 10-year-olds already. And it's scary. I mean, like, this is the youth that's going to pave the way for, I'm not trying to do any kind of like vegan,
evangelism.
preach or anything, but I mean, like, it's like I've said before, like I've never felt this happy or healthy in my life. And, it's like I said, everybody, does different stuff. The keto thing is, I'm really worried about that. I don't know. I don't know what your feelings are about keto, but the stuff I've been, the stuff I read about that is terrifying, but there could be biased stuff I'm reading as well. But
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done it myself. I do know quite a few people and clients that have done it successfully, but my issue with it is it's very hard to sustain. And I believe, and they don't tell you this mostly, but I think you're playing a little bit, with your body chemistry when you start messing around with ketones. And if you're not really paying close attention, I think that it can be dangerous. But I mean, I believe in a lot of the principles behind it. But again, this is a personal choice. You ask 10 people, you get 10 different answers on what's the best way to eat. So I just personally do well with a lower carb approach, like a primal paleo type diet. So that just works for me.
That's the funny thing is there's another guy that I follow that we talk online quite a bit, and he's doing keto. He's like high fat, low carb, and I'm low carb or high carb, low fat.
Yep.
But he's tearing it up too. But my thing is, like you said, is it's about sustainability, and I don't know how that's going to be sustainable for anybody long term. I mean, and that's like with what I found with the plant-based stuff is like this to me for me, this is going to be something I can do the rest of my life,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's easy as can be, it's what I'm happy with, and it's what I feel best on, which I don't, it's like I said, like I just tell everybody just try it for 30 days. And if it doesn't work for you, then, go about whatever is going to work for you, I guess,
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it's about. That's exactly what I teach. It's whatever you can incorporate long term. This is a lifestyle, permanent decision. And I think the goal, in my opinion anyway, for most guys or all guys really, is to be at a point where if you start eating the crap again, you feel it. Like when you said that you had been eating clean for so long that you had one cheat meal of Reese's Pieces at the movies and then you felt like shit for 2 days. I think that's the goal, right? Because you don't want to be, taste those and say, oh my God, these are so delicious. It's, oh, I feel horrible. I don't want to do that again.
And see, that happens to me if I eat any kind of animal products now too, though. It's weird because there was something not too long ago I ate. My daughter likes those snap peas. I don't know if you're familiar with those. And she had the Caesar kind that had a little bit of milk in it. And I finished up her bag after she went home, which I do a lot of times with, just like, well, I better eat it now and get it out of the house.
Yep.
And I ate it, and man, the next day, I had the smelliest farts ever. I'm like, what in the heck is going on with me? And I read the bag afterward. I'm like, oh, that probably makes sense. Uh-huh. And I'll go back to work on Monday and do my fasting schedule, and I just got the nastiest headaches, and it's terrible. I don't that's why I don't cheat anymore, is because I got so sick of feeling like crap for 2 days after the weekends. It just, and I don't know about you, but I can literally gain 10 or 15 pounds over a weekend of bloat. I don't know why it does, but anytime I eat anything salty or fried or with oil in it, I just retain water like crazy. Actually this past weekend, I overate a lot on the weekend but it was healthy foods. A lot of quinoa and rice and beans and potatoes and stuff like that. And I literally gained 10 pounds within a 2-day period of just bloat. Now I'm I think I got all but 7 of that out of my system already, since then, which I have a really bad habit of weighing myself every day, which I know is not very good, but it helps me keep, hold myself accountable, because after a 2-day weekend of eating like crap and you see a 10-pound gain, it's all right, I need to do something about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You said something in one of your videos that stuck with me. And you said, if you can't eat it responsibly, then keep it out of the house. And I think that's a really important point because, our willpower is shit. I mean, for most of us, right? It's in the house. Even me. I mean, I do this for a living, full time. And if there's a bag of chips and salsa or something in the house, there's probably an 80% chance it's going to end up in my mouth. So
Yeah.
I have to get, I mean, I get weak at night, especially, which is the fasting's come in handy there. Yeah, I said I'd have to get it out. I'm not going to make a trip to the store to buy it. But if it's here, I'll justify it. Well, I'm already pretty fit. I can afford to, eat a few extra crappy calories. And before long, I'm 10 more pounds. And I'm like, wait a minute, what just happened? So I think that's a great point.
Yeah, like when I started this whole food thing, I got rid of all the crap out of my cupboards. I gave it to my mom, actually. And, it's like, here, Mom, have my crappy food so you can have poor nutrition, I guess. But I actually buy my groceries week to week and I ration them out. Like I know exactly what I'll like I pretty much eat the same thing every night after work, and I kind of change it after, like, that's what works for me. Like I'll know that, like, like roughly how many calories my potato bowl is, and then, like, roughly how many calories my oatmeal is, and then my snacks, and I kind of just guesstimate it off the top of my head. But yeah, like when my daughter goes home, half the time I'll send the crappy food, some of the crappy food that she has here home with her, and yeah, and it's like I said too, like I'll buy, week to week groceries to the point where, like, by the time Friday rolls around, I barely got anything in my cupboards.
Mm-hmm.
I think that helps me out too, because then it's like, for instance, like I'll buy like a 24-ounce bag of pistachios in the shell. I'll try to, like, ration that out through the week, but if I overeat that at the start of the week, then I just won't buy any more. I feel that, like, the amount of calories that goes in you is not like a day-to-day thing, but more of like a weekly average. You know what I mean? Like,
yep. Oh yeah, absolutely.
To the point where, like, you're always putting food in the bank. So, so to speak, and it all depends on what quality of foods you put in there, is, how well your savings will grow. And that's why I like the fasting, is because for me, it's like putting my uneaten calories in a bank. And then, like, I love to eat like a fat ass when I start eating. So,
Yeah.
Like for me, it's almost like all day at work, I'm doing my foraging or my hunting, and when I get home, that's my feast for, I'm feasting on the spoils of the day. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I'm kind of like going back to my old school kind of primal aspect, except for I'm not jumping on the back of a gazelle and biting its neck and eating that,
Yeah. All right.
That's what works for me. I mean, I try to stress that as much as I can.
Sure. I want to hear about one other thing too. Is you said something about, your belief that you need to take care of your emotional health before you can take care of your physical health. I think that's a really important point, because most people just try to treat the symptoms. Like, I'll just fix it with a quick diet or something like that, but they're not addressing the actual issues that are causing the eating of the junk foods and everything, all the other lifestyle choices they're making. It's an emotional issue. How did you attack that initially and realize that that's what you needed to do, was to get in your head first and kind of reverse engineer it?
It's actually funny. Are you familiar with the movie Shawshank Redemption?
That's my favorite movie of all time.
Brooks,
Yep.
I think it was the Get Busy Living or Get Busy Dying.
Yep.
I always keep that in the back of my head now. I have since I started this. It's true, though, because when you're eating like crap and you're eating all these addictive foods that are just, like almost as bad for you as crack, as far as like addiction goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to cut that out. And I'm a firm believer that the processed foods are what is causing a lot of the mental health issues in the world. Bear with me on this for a second. Because I mean, it's pretty much like like substance abuse when you really think about it. And for me, like, I believe that, like if you're not fueling your brain with the proper fuel, it's just like your vehicle. If you're putting sugar-laden gasoline in your automobile, it's not going to run right. Something's going to happen to it very quickly. But we take better care of our vehicles more than we do our bodies. We're interesting creatures because we can abuse the hell out of our bodies and we won't feel instant repercussions from it.
Mm-hmm.
If we had the same kind of effect that like alcohol had on us, I think the world would be a different place. But we can eat like crap for 20, 30, 40 years and it won't start affecting us. And all of a sudden, boom, you got a heart attack,
Mm-hmm.
or, oh no, now I'm diabetic. Like, however did that happen?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
We can't exercise our way out of a poor diet. We can't eat like this for all of our lives and not expect to have repercussions from it. That to me, like, not only does it affect your physical health, but your brain is like, it requires certain nutrients as well, and if it's not getting the proper nutrients, it ain't going to perform as well. You kind of have to take care of both at the same time almost. Just for me, like, a lot of it was just changing my negative thinking to positive thinking, like just kind of becoming kind of like a hippie almost, just kind of like trying to learn how to like love little things in the world. Like if you go out for like a walk, like there's a lot of times I go out disc golfing and like a squirrel will like run by or something like that. I'm just like, oh, that's pretty cool, just enjoying the more simple things in life, and definitely like disconnecting yourself from electronics a lot more helps out a lot, I've found, and like kind of like disassociating yourself with, because like the media and everything and even online, like there's so much negativity everywhere out there.
Oh yeah, it's all negative. It's horrible. I can't stand watching the news or most shows actually.
Yeah, it's all fear mongering, and it's all trying to like tell you how to live your life, everything else, and this is how you're supposed to live, and be fearful of anybody brown or it's I haven't had a cable in 10 years, and my online stuff, a lot of it's like YouTube research, and I listen to a lot of these plant-based doctors like Dr. Esselstyn and Dr. John McDougall, which I highly recommend anybody if they're interested in learning more about a plant-based diet. John McDougall's book, The Starch Solution, pretty much my Bible now. Like, like if anybody wants to try this out, that's what I would suggest, is that book. That's for me. I've already loaned that book out to a good dozen people. It's been very good. I highly recommend it. Just changing your mindset to positive, I think helps out tremendously. You're so used to just thinking negative all the time,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you've come obviously on an incredible journey. I mean, you've lost 280 pounds or so. All your numbers look good. I mean, I'm looking at you right now. Obviously, people listening can't know that, but I mean, you're a thin guy. I mean, I've seen your before pictures. I mean, you've had just an insane transformation. You're off all your meds, right? I think you said that you were off the medicines that you were taking for, was it blood pressure and some other things?
No, the only thing I ever took prescription medication for was prescription meloxicam for an anti-inflammatory.
Okay.
Because just even working like an 8-9 hour shift at my old job, like I just like after I sat down, I would hobble around and everything, and that's one thing I actually love about this plant-based diet too, is because especially cutting out all the processed foods, like your inflammation goes down so much. Like I haven't had to take anything for like a year almost, but I also haven't had soda for 3.5 years. I haven't had any caffeine since July of last year. The nicotine's been gone for 5 weeks now. I'm trying to slowly just eliminate every toxin out of my body to the point where, I'm living like the cleanest I can possibly. Mm-hmm. It's like I said before, I would love to have this the skin removal surgery. I'm looking at probably about 10 to 15 pounds to get taken off with that. My upper body is like very lean and everything, but then when it goes down, like the belly and the man boobs and the legs, and I think I would probably be down to probably about 210 pounds if I had that. And I'm like 5'11". Mm-hmm. I honestly think that I'm done with my weight loss journey, so to speak, but I think that my body's not going to really look that great until I get because 280 pounds of weight loss. I'm kind of coming to terms with this because, of course it's way better than having that loose skin filled in with fat again, but it is discouraging to a point to have, to be where I'm supposed to be at health wise, but not body wise, which I've been trying to come up with figure out ways of getting the skin removal surgery done, but they're talking like 14 weeks off of work and like, like without insurance covering it, like $10,000 to $15,000 for the surgery. And they consider it cosmetic because it's actually funny. I read about it, and they say that your chances of having the surgery covered by insurance, you're better off to have the gastric bypass surgery, and then they'll cover it for you more than likely, because that's the side effect of the gastric. I actually went through consultation for gastric bypass surgery for the lap band in 2011. I don't know if I ever really mentioned that or not, but I came in for it. I was 400 pounds. This is right before I made the big switch. My daughter was 3 at the time, and I went in for the consultation, and they're like, yeah, you're going to have to like change your lifestyle. You're going to have to eat different. You're going to have to be more active. And I'm like, well, why in the hell do I even need this surgery? If I got to do all this on my own anyways, why, well, it's just a tool to make you feel like, your hunger is, satiated a little better. And I'm like, well, yeah, but I'm going to have to take like hundreds of dollars of multivitamins every day, or like, every month. And, I read stuff about, the hair falling out, which I don't have a problem with because I don't more, but yeah, it just didn't seem like it was for me. So after that, I went back to doing paleo, and then did keto for a while there, and then I just kind of came up with a natural balance of things for a while until I did the plant-based thing. And I'm so glad I didn't get I know so many people around me that's gotten the bypass surgery, and they have great results for like the first couple of years, but then after that they start slipping into their old bad habits again. They're not getting to the core of the issue. They're like, oh well, I got this surgery, so I got to get out of jail free card, as far as trying to, which I'm not undermining anybody that gets the surgery, because that's a tough thing to go through as well, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So what do you struggle with now? It sounds like you have a lot of things in order. You've really cleaned up your lifestyle. Really cleaned. Is there something you still struggle with, or anything in particular?
Well, that 500-pound mentality I was talking about, there's some days where if I'm bloated, I feel like I'm still 500 pounds, and that kind of gets me down a little bit. I don't think that'll ever go away to a point, but my weekends, I've really cleaned those up lately. I know that's been a problem as far as like cheating or overeating on the weekends. Right now, I think for me mostly just portion controlling now. But I don't know if you ever really looked at the calorie density charts of stuff where, like, say for instance, like vegetables are like 100 calories a pound, like beans are like, I think 400 or 500 calories a pound, and then like potatoes are like 300 calories a pound, and like fruits like 200 calories a pound. In order for me to get into the calories that I need on this whole food plant-based diet, I have to eat a lot of food. Mm-hmm. And for me, I think on the weekend still, I think I just take that a little too far, and that's why I've been trying, like, just this last couple of days, I've been tracking calories in order to kind of like get a general idea in my head on, okay, how much is enough? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm working on that right now, which actually last night, for instance, I made my big potato and bean bowl, and I had a big bowl of oatmeal, and I had an apple and a couple of servings of prunes, and then I had like about 2 ounces of pistachios, and I was looking at about 2,600 calories for all that. Which is probably talking about 6 pounds of food there.
Right.
But, and according to the MyFitnessPal thing, it says that I need to have probably about 2,400 calories to lose 2 pounds a week, supposedly. But mm-hmm. I don't think I have any more actual fat to lose, though. But that's kind of like a sweet spot for me, I think. And I'm just going to try to do that. And I think on the weekends now, I think I'm going to just start tracking everything to kind of keep myself from getting too overboard,
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Like through the week, I got it down. Like I got like the perfect system through the week while I'm working. It's just my days off are what I really need to clean up a little bit, I think.
I think regardless of where anybody is physically, there's always going to be a struggle with something, even the most seasoned fitness diet professionals, they're going to struggle with some aspect of maintaining that lifestyle, just how to incorporate that into your lifestyle. So
I tell everybody I am always going to be a work in progress at all times. I don't try to speak in absolutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, your story is just remarkable. It's fascinating. So where do you want people to find you and learn more about you and your story?
Well, my page, Incredible Shrinking Bearded Man, was a good start, I think. I try to be as active on there as I can, but I mean, like between driving to work and having breaks at work, it's really hard for me to keep up on it sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good start. The YouTube channel, if I had more time, I would actually do a lot more on that. The weight loss page on Facebook and the YouTube channel is probably about the best places to, as far as like reaching me or anything like that. I think the YouTube's more for like just kind of like getting my little 2 cents in without having to, because I used to just do little videos on my Facebook page. I don't know if you ever found those or not.
Yep.
But yeah, like I used to do a lot of them on there, and then I was like, well, I might as well just start posting them on YouTube and then just sharing them on the page. That way, they can kind of reach because my whole goal with the page and the YouTube is just spreading the word about healthy lifestyle. Probably just like you, I mean, just trying to get people healthier. I mean, it breaks my heart actually, like especially now that I'm on the opposite side of the coin now. Like if you just go to like Walmart, for instance, and you just look and observe, like there's so many obese people out there that look, I mean, they just look unhealthy. You can just tell by looking at them that they don't feel good.
Oh yeah.
It breaks my heart that so many people out there their quality of life is just so crappy. I remember how bad that was. Just even like bending down to pick up something off the floor was a task, I mean, like tying your shoes was a task. Like even getting up off the couch was a task back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man, it's weird because like I'm literally over half the man I used to be, but like the longer I stay this weight, the more disassociated I am with my old self. If that makes sense.
Yep.
Like it just becomes a faint memory almost, but that's why you almost have to like keep that in the back of your mind all the time to really see how far you've gone in order to appreciate where you're at now,
I get it. I appreciate you sharing your story here, and I really do think that anybody listening should definitely check out your stuff, the Incredible Shrinking Bearded Man, Facebook and YouTube. And no, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. This was it's quite a story, so I appreciate your time.
I appreciate you. Yeah, I appreciate you reaching out to me. If you ever want to do this again, just let me know.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, if you want more information, check out the Fit Dad Basecamp group on Facebook. And don't forget to stop by fitdadnation.com. Until next time, keep kicking ass and taking the next step. You can do this, Dad.